Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Can you guys hear me? It's just a test. All right, awesome.
So by show of hands, how many of you have completed or in the process of or considering a migration to cloud project? So Clearwater Analytics is one of our customers who have successfully migrated hundreds of applications and databases in a matter of few months. Today, we're going to share their experience as they went from an on-premise environment to AWS cloud. My name is Umar Said. I am a senior solutions architect manager at AWS, and it's an honor and a pleasure to share the stage with Shilpa Dapke, Vice President of Global Platform Engineering at Clearwater Analytics. Shilpa, first, a little introduction about yourself.
Absolutely. So I head the global platform engineering team at Clearwater Analytics, and we had to migrate over almost 500 applications and over 200 databases to cloud, to AWS cloud. And I'm super, super proud of our entire R&D organization to do this in 10 months. I wish it was 10 minutes, but it was 10 months. But if you consider all the prep work done prior to that, the moving of the actual workloads, it was done in 10 months. So super proud about that.
All right, thanks. So going over the agenda briefly, we'll share with you who Clearwater Analytics are, and then most of the conversation is going to be about their migration journey. How did they make decisions as to which workload to start? Organizationally, how do they rally the organization behind the cloud migration? What were some of the learnings and the benefits they realized after migrating to clouds? And above all, last but not the least, their experience working with AWS accounting. So Shilpa, please tell us a little about Clearwater Analytics.
Sure. So Clearwater Analytics is a global financial services technology company, so fintech. What we do is, it's a B2B organization. Our services are for other businesses, mostly asset managers, insurance companies, government, banks, corporations, whoever has money to invest, right? And these are like $1 trillion worth of investments that we handle on a daily basis. $6.7 trillion worth of investments data that we process in a very timely manner with 100% accuracy. Because if we make any mistake, our clients will make a wrong decision on their investments, and they can incur a lot of loss. So that can't be, right? Like that is super, super important that we are accurate and we are timely. And every single day we have to process because market changes. There's so many aspects of investment changes, and their decisions are based on the reports that we give them on a daily basis. So with this whole single pane of data that we provide, with all the GAAP principles and all the accounting principles that we take into consideration and the reporting aspects, that is super helpful to our clients, what we provide. So that's what we do, day in, day out.
Thank you, super exciting. Okay, my first question. From an organizational perspective, what efforts went into when you guys decided to move to cloud?
Yeah, so there were two specific aspects, I would say, that people should think about. One is mind shift, right? The way people were thinking about internally about how exactly, what kind of tech solutions we are going to use, or how are we going to architect our solution, how are we going to solve a problem, and what are the kind of options that are available to us to solve the problem. That was super important. People had to kind of rethink. And the other thing is, our developers did not have to think about money when we were on-prem, because it was capital expenditure that once we had spent it for 3 years, they didn't have to think about it. They would just plop on more and more solutions onto the same setup, but we had reached our limits, right? Our business was growing and our systems were not growing. Our scale was not happening, so we had to move to that, but then people had to change their mind in thinking about capital expenditure, CapEx, versus operational expenditure, which is OpEx. So that was a big mind shift. And it's a variable cost model, right, with cloud, that depending on your usage, the cost can go up. So that mind shift had to be taken care of. And the other thing is organizational transformation. It's a big word. It's a big word and it's a big thing. So right from our senior leaders to our middle tiers of leadership, to all our engineers, everybody had to be thinking about, okay, what are we going to cloud for? We had to be always make them aware about where we are, why are we doing it, how are we going to do that? And at the same time, every month, every few weeks, we were talking to them, are we achieving what we were talking about? Or what we talked about and what we are achieving now is completely different things. So we were absolutely tracking to what we said, to what we did. And that was super important because that kept all of us on the same page all the time.
All right, thank you. Next, from a business perspective, what were some of the motivators or drivers behind considering going to the cloud?
So before I tell you what they were, I'll tell you cost was not one of them. So just be careful about that. And we were very clear right up front that this is not about cost. This is about scalability. This is about business growing. You want to make sure that you are allowing your business to grow. Of course, we needed to be highly available. So on-prem, we were almost single tenant sort of thing. So if something happened to the setup, we didn't have any backup. We had a few steps that we had taken that our data was backup or certain things were backup, but we couldn't just bring up our business immediately like we can do in the cloud. So that was super important. With the business growth, how quickly we can go to the market was super important. So any POCs we wanted to do, any MVPs we needed to do, any proof of concept we needed to do, that was super important for us to grow. And that was possible in cloud. And the last thing, but super important, and we are working on it right now, is we have a huge presence in Northern America, but we want to grow into EMEA and Asia Pacific. We have clients in these regions, but we have brought them into North America, and now they're saying, no, you need to come to EMEA, and you need to come to Asia Pacific to make data sovereignty and all those things taken care of, and that's what we are working on right now. So that was all possible.
Fascinating, thank you. Okay. So one thing, Shilpa, I have worked with quite a few customers. They're excited about cloud, they get the economics, but then the decision comes, where do you start?
Yes.
Which workload? Can you please share your decision process when you guys went on the journey?
Absolutely. So this is super important how you do this. So there are two aspects to think about. One is how complex it is, meaning your engineers are going to be little wary of, can we do this, can we not, we are a little unsure about it. And the other thing is your senior leaders. What is the impact? What is the ROI, right? So both those aspects are super important. So what we did was we created this map that high complexity, but high business impact. Low complexity, even though it's low impact, business impact, do it because it's low complexity and you get more engineers moving towards that. So we rightly put that as, okay, we need to show the high impact to senior leadership, and with low complexity, we had engineers totally on board and the senior leaders saw the impact. Then the engineers were on board, so we said, okay, let's do more of this. Even though it's low impact, we get more workloads into cloud. Then we went to the high complexity, but we had to go with high impact. And then we think about, okay, if it's high complexity but low impact, should we even do that? right? So the fourth bucket was debatable, right? Like, should we do this or not? So that's how we went about, and very happy to say that in 10 months, exactly a month ago, we actually completed 100% of our migration. So, did that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Reflecting back on the past 10 months, the promise of the cloud,
Yeah.
where have you seen success or value realized?
So, super proud about the fact that what we anticipated, what we planned, we saw that working for us. So that was super important. We saw that our clients were starting to have the positive experience because once we started moving to cloud, they started seeing the latency reducing, the fast approach and fast sort of service levels and etc. So we started moving to our SLAs started meeting in high 90%, which was not happening before. So that was pretty cool. We saw that our elasticity. So the way our business is, we have time of the day where our workload is very high, the processing is very high because of the markets. There are times of the month, so month end and quarter end and year end, etc. So we started seeing that the elasticity we needed during those times, we started achieving that without even blinking, right? So that was super important. We kept up with the high 90%, even during those times where the workload was so high. So that was a big gain. The high availability. So we had a business risk of, I mentioned, the sort of single setup. So if anything went wrong, we were, it was a big business risk. In cloud, what we did was, we architected with multi-zone, multi-availability zone. So we already were spread out. So now if one availability zone went down, no issue, because our applications were spread out. So the other availability zone was already working. We didn't even blink, and things were just smoothly working. So that was a big risk mitigation for the business. So that was built in, and we achieved that. And we have ventured into so many technologies, Gen AI to talk about, where it was so easy to just figure out, just kind of play around with Gen AI so easily without incurring cost or without incurring a lot of time sink into it. It was just very easy. So senior leaders are super happy right now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Can you please share a little bit of your experience working with your AWS account team or AWS in general?
For sure. So I have been working with AWS since over 8 years. So it's not just my current company experience, even the previous company experience, but that helped me big time because I knew that AWS is one vendor you don't want to keep at an arm's length. You want to consider them as your extended team. I talk about my concerns, my doubts, my problems to my AWS account team day in, day out. And they have been more than my extended team, where they have come up with multiple solutions, totally working with us. And that has been super, super helpful. I can tell you that there's so much we achieved in such a short span of time. It wouldn't have been possible if AWS was not our extended team. So I would say use them as your extended team. Every time I brought up a doubt or a concern, they brought multiple tech experts. And I kid you not, they have so many resources available to the clients. It's the matter of they knowing that you need that. And the moment we told them, say, oh, here you go. You have these kind of teams, and these are super smart subject matter experts who could solve our problem. So we totally took, we leveraged that. Training was a big piece. As I mentioned about mind shift, right? It was not going to happen overnight. People had to unlearn so many things that they were doing on-prem that they had to kind of get trained on, and we totally leveraged AWS training for that. And even for cost saving. So what happens is, as I said, cost saving was not one of the reasons we moved to AWS, right? So in the beginning, you will see that the cost goes up, like pretty steep. But our account team totally worked with us, thinking for us that how can we reduce the cost, even though they are working for AWS. And AWS guides them to do that. Like, mind-blowing, right? That, yeah, to help them, help our clients reduce the cost willingly, absolutely. And things that we couldn't think of, that our accounting team thought about, and they said, think about these 10 things and reduce the cost. You could do this, you could do that. And they worked with us to actually see that our cost went down. So, super proud of that.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. So, this is not related to migration. This is sort of a fun event, the treasure hunt that our team is doing. Please feel free to take a QR code. The keyword for today is growth, and it allows you to win certain gems and have a high chance of winning a prize towards the end of the event.
Awesome. If you guys have any questions, like, reach out, not an issue.
Absolutely, and thank you. Last but not the least, please do take a few minutes to complete the survey.
Yeah.
And we want to get your feedback, and we're a data-driven company, and to see how we can, meeting your expectation and how we can do better. Thank you, Shilpa.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure. Thank you.